Namaste, namaste, and welcome to Monday Midday Chair Yoga. This is our 8th week of practice in our autumn term. And so today we're going to use a little block or a cushion, basically anything to hold in our practice, just as we did last week. So having that to hand and somewhere close to your seat. But we'll begin, as we often do, sitting towards the front of our seats. I've got my feet on a block, which just helps to bring my knees a little bit higher so that it's a little bit more restful for my hips. And then sitting in a way that feels spacious. So you don't need to be rigid and upright and like a regimental soldier, but you can have that sense of gentle lift and expansion through the back of the body. Rest your hands wherever they are comfortable. If you feel like it, you can close your eyes here. If you prefer, you can simply gaze gently down. Take this moment to step away from everything else going on around you. The responsibilities that rest on your shoulders, the interactions that you've had with people around you in the course of the day, the things to do on your things to do list. Leave all of that behind, just for this next hour. Instead, we will focus our awareness on our yoga practice, on enhancing our well-being, on creating a little sense of tranquility and calm. Notice how you feel in this moment. Notice the different sensations in the body. Perhaps you can feel areas of stiffness or tension or discomfort. Taking care of these areas as you work through the practice today, but also taking time to notice at least one part of the body that feels spacious, peaceful, and at ease. Allowing that sense of ease to blossom, to grow, to touch other parts of the body as it expands. And perhaps you can begin to feel your forehead soften, the area around your eyes relaxing, your mouth, tongue, jaw releasing. Perhaps the shoulders feel a little softer. Perhaps your body feels a little lighter. When you're ready, you can turn your awareness to your breath. Noticing first your natural, spontaneous breath. And whenever you're ready, gently deepening your breath. As you exhale, gently engaging across the belly muscles to exhale more fully. Inhaling deeply, filling the lungs, filling the torso. Exhaling long and slow, engaging across the abdomen to exhale completely. Drawing those muscles inwards and upwards. Then softening the belly to breathe deeply into the sides of the body, the back and the chest. Exhaling long and slow, drawing the abdominal muscles inwards and upwards to exhale completely. Soft through those abdominal muscles, breathing into the rib cage, the collarbones, the shoulder blades. Long and slow exhale, engaging gently to exhale completely. As you breathe in, Feel the breath lift you tall. As you breathe out, feel the face and the shoulders soften, engaging in the belly button, around the belly button to exhale completely. A couple more breaths like this. Long, deep breaths in. And long, slow breaths out. Long, deep breath in. Long, slow breath out. And then allowing your breath to find its natural rhythm and fall into quietness. Bring your palms together and lift your chest. And take your chin towards your chest. Feel that gentle lengthening down the back of the neck and maybe across the shoulders. Give yourself a soft smile. And when you're ready, raising your head, opening your eyes, releasing your hands down. Aces. So I hope you're feeling a little bit more centered, perhaps a little bit more calm than when you stepped into your room. And we'll just begin with a gentle movement through the shoulders. Deep breathing, of course, is incredibly good for our metabolism, and the lungs are one of our organs of elimination. So they help us to eliminate toxins and byproducts of the body's processes, biological processes. So it's really important to be able to exhale well. Let's roll the shoulders in the other direction as well. And then we're going to do a little bit of movement through the neck. So sit nice and tall. Bring your head back to be centered over your shoulders. And then here we're just gently going to turn the head from side to side. We're doing it quite slowly, but we're doing it continuously. So really slowly from side to side, but also keeping going. And noticing if the movement becomes easier the more you do it. So it's normal for us to meet a bit of resistance and tension and stiffness when we're doing a movement for the first time in the day. Let's do one more to each side, but hopefully it eases with some movement in the area. When you're ready, coming back to center, finding that centered lift, and just taking ear to shoulder. So it doesn't matter how far you get ear to shoulder, and try to avoid lifting your shoulder to meet your ear to keep the shoulders nice and relaxed. And again, it's quite slow but steady movement from side to side. Noticing on this last time to each side if it's easing a little bit, if it's feeling a bit more manageable. When you're ready, coming to center, lifting the head back into its centered alignment, chin to chest. Give yourself a gentle smile. Roll your head up and then take your chin up. It doesn't matter if it's not back. Up is what we're after. And then slowly down again. So nice, steady movement, slower if you prefer. Rolling up. Taking the chin gently up. One more time, all the way down. And then slowly up. And lifting the chin. And then returning the head to center, just rolling through the shoulders a little, because we often hold onto our shoulders when we're moving our neck. It's a natural process. It's a natural way the body anchors the movement and supports the movement. As long as we can release the movement afterwards, it's all good. Let's come back to movements of the head. We're going to pretend that our nose is drawing, and we're going to make figures of 8 with the nose. So these are smaller movements. And my 8 is an up and down 8. We're going to do both up and down and side to side, so it doesn't matter where you started. When you're ready, reversing the motion. So the same figure of 8, but going in the opposite direction. It often takes a little moment to coordinate that. And just working in a way that feels good to your neck and shoulders. And when you're ready, coming back to stillness in the center. So if you were doing a vertical 8 before, we're going to flip it on its side and do a side to side 8, or an infinity sign. And if you were doing an infinity sign, then you're going to flip it on the vertical and do a vertical 8. So infinity sign, if you were doing vertical, vice versa. It's still the figure of 8 motion, but it's just got slightly more emphasis. If you're going side to side, there's a little bit more head turning and head leaning. When you're ready, reversing direction. Doesn't matter which variation of an 8 you're doing, just reversing the direction of flow. And it's okay if that takes a bit more thought or concentration. It's quite normal. One more. And we're back to center, allowing the head to be centered, noticing the effect of your practice. Hopefully you feel a little bit less tension in the back of the neck and shoulders. We're going to take our hands and place the fingertips towards the shoulders, but it doesn't need to be on the shoulders. It can be towards the chest or just simply bent. We're going to start with the right elbow and just make some movements with the right elbow. The left elbow can completely relax. So just a nice circling movement. You can perhaps begin to gradually build up to a bigger movement, but there's no obligation to get any particular place. We just see where our shoulders go to today. And then we're going to go the opposite way, starting small. And then we're going to go a little bit bigger and explore your range of movement. See how far it feels comfortable to move in this circling motion today. Very nice. And then we're going to relax the right elbow, do the same with the left side. Keep the belly muscles a little bit firm. Start making left side circles, just small to begin with. Doesn't matter what they look like. Going a little bit larger if it feels comfortable to do that, but working with the body you've got. Noticing if this side is different than the other, if it feels easier or perhaps a little less easy. When you're ready, going in the opposite direction, so starting small again, beginning to gradually build that movement. Notice if this direction is easier or not so easy. Usually there's one that's easier than the other. Beginning to build into the biggest circles that feel comfortable on this side. And we'll do just one more. Then we'll relax the arms down to the side, just give the shoulders a little shrug. And then we're going to swing the arms. So make sure you're not going to hit anything on your chair or behind you, and just swing the arms side to side. As you do, you might get a little gentle twist through the body. It's quite nice. Very good. Ooh. That's me clobbering my chair. See if you can press into the feet and firm the belly muscles. Just allow your head to move as your chest moves. But keep a little firmness in the bottom of the torso. And when you're ready, you can allow your movement to become a little smaller until you're back to sitting steady. Now here, I'm going to get rid of the block that's underneath my feet so I can widen my feet a little bit. Maybe even turn the toes out a little bit if it feels good. And we're going to sit really tall, take the arms out to the side, and just gently move from one side to the other. So here you can put the hands on the hips if that feels good, just bending at the elbows, or you can put your hands on your chair if that feels good. You can reach the arms out to the side. It doesn't matter which you choose. If you want to do a little bit more with your body, arms out to the side requires a little bit more effort, and it provides a little bit of more challenge because the load is more on the body. You can go as slowly as you like here, and we maybe slow the movement down so we begin to feel that stretch for a little bit longer. If you're using your arms, you can move your arms into the stretch a little bit more. Maybe think about expanding into the fingertips, still keeping the effort in the belly muscles. So you're still drawing them inwards and upwards. And we'll do one more to each side. Very good. Coming back to the center, just floating the arms down, maybe holding them in front of the body and making gentle shoulder rolls. Aces. So our last movement that we're going to do here before we use our blocks is a little bit of forward and backward folding. So you can have your feet a little bit closer together if that feels good. Wider is fine too. We just want enough purchase with our buttocks on the seat that we don't feel unstable or insecure. And we're going to take the arms nice and wide and then round the shoulders forward and draw the backs of the hands towards each other, chin to chest. And as you sit tall, take the arms back, opening wide, turn your palms open to the ceiling, lifting the chin and the chest, rounding forward, bringing the backs of the hands towards each other, tucking the toes under, scooping the belly in, and then sitting tall, opening the chest, drawing the arms back and down, palms turned upwards, rounding forward. And then opening back. Rounding forward, scooping the belly in. And opening back. We'll do just one more of these. Rounding forward. And opening back. And then coming to sit upright, float the arms down to the sides, and then just give the shoulders a little lift to the sides of the body instead of to the front of the body, maybe a gentle roll of the shoulders. Fantastic stuff. So we're going to take the blocks or cushions or balls, whatever it is that you've got in your hands, to work around the body. So here we're going to start with the hands in front of the body. I'm going to reach the block up in one hand. I've got it in my left hand. Pass it into my right hand, and then reach the arms back down to pass it from the right hand into the left hand, wherever it makes sense to do that. So we're going from left to right above the head or in front of the head, and from right to left at the bottom of the movement. So it doesn't matter how high above your head the arms are, they could be in front of the body, as long as it's as high up as feels comfortable for you to do in this moment. So the idea is to get a little bit of space down the sides of the body. And we'll do one more in this direction. Very good. At the bottom of the movement, just rest your block, cushion, or ball. If you need to hold on to it with your knees, you can, between the knees, and give the shoulders a little bit of a roll. Make sure that if you need to move your neck, that you do so. You're not holding on to it in any way. And then we do the same thing, but in the other direction. So we start with that block in the right hand, pass it up in front of the body, or over the top of the body to the left hand, and back down again. So it's a slightly different feel when you're moving in this direction. The idea is that we press into our feet, firm the belly, and find space down the sides of the body. So that's part of the body where we often have the arms close to the body, but instead we're trying to find this spacious feeling under the arms, down the rib cage. Let's do two more. And of course, we have to exhibit good control to do this one too. Very nice. And this time, when you come to the bottom of your movement, whatever you've got, place it between your knees and just bring your feet towards each other so you can grip that firmly, but not really rigidly. So we just want to grip whatever it is, a cushion, a ball, a block, between the knees to give an emphasis of drawing the knees towards each other. And we're going to take a little twist here. So we're going to twist to the right, take the left hand to the right side of the body, the right hand behind you, press into the feet to sit really tall. Hold for a moment here, soften the shoulders down, breathe deeply. And then we'll untwist the head first, and then the arms, and twist to the opposite side straight away. So we're taking the right hand to the left side of the body, the left hand behind, twisting to the left. Hold when you get there, softening the shoulders down, breathing deeply. We're going to untwist with the head first and do the same thing one more time to each side. So untwisting, sit tall, twisting all the way around to the right, still gripping your object between your knees or your thighs. Soften shoulders. Maybe you can turn a little bit further into this twist, maybe not, it's okay. Little lift in the belly muscles, but breathing nice and deeply, soft shoulders. To unwind, head round to the front first, and then twist in the opposite direction. Maybe seeing if you can explore a millimeter or two into the twist a little further than you did, pressing into the feet, firming in the belly. Just releasing the shoulders down. We want to keep the tops of the shoulders soft, but of course we're using the shoulder blades against the upper back. Breathing deeply. And then untwisting head first, coming back to center, and we just make a few little shoulder rolls just to, feel our way into it. Very nice. Okay, so we are going to use our blocks some more, but once we come up to standing, or whatever it is you've got in your hand. So I'm going to turn my chair ever so slightly to the side here. I just don't think we've got enough room to do it behind us when we're sitting down. But for anyone who wants to sit down for the practices that we do standing, please feel free. So we're going to take our feet underneath the knees themselves and just give a little few heel lifts as we prepare to do a bit of standing up and sitting down. So we've got heel lifts going from side to side. If you want to get into it, you can give your arms a little go here or move in a sort of marching fashion with the arms. Doesn't matter if they're long and straight or bent, as you choose. I find sometimes it helps me to coordinate my feet if I move my arms too. And then we're going to float the heels down and do the same thing but with the toes. So lifting one toe and then the other, or lifting one set of toes and then the other, the front of one foot and then the other. And again, if it helps, you can do a little movement with your arms to help coordinate. Our bodies are fantastic, but they do like to do stuff together. So our hands and feet like to move in coordination with each other, sympathetic movements. Sometimes if you're trying to do something with your feet, helps to move your hands and vice versa. Very good. Then we're going to rest for a moment. Allow yourself to sit back in your seat so that your thighs are supported and you can stretch your legs out in front of you. I'm just going to roll the feet at the ankles. So you don't have to lift your legs particularly high, but if you wish to, you can. And we're going to roll in the opposite direction as well. Oh, that feels nice. I've got a bit of a clicky ankle, but it's good, it's good. And then we're going to slide ourselves forward, feet directly underneath the knees again. And this time we're going to lift the heel of one foot and the toes of the opposite foot and go from side to side. So if there's any coordinating movement you want to make with your upper body or your arms that helps, then feel free. Feel free also to slow this down. So even if you have to look at your feet to lift one heel and the opposite toes, that's okay. Do it as slowly as you need to, but for those who are more practiced or more experienced or just find this coordination a little bit easier, you can go more swiftly from side to side. Just notice if you fluff it, that's okay, but perhaps you've tried to go too quickly. Who knows? Aces. Then we're going to bring the feet back down to steadiness again, and we're going to bring the feet all the way together. And here, sitting towards the edge of the seat, taking the heels out and then the toes out and the heels out and the toes out and the heels out and the toes out, and then bringing the toes in and the heels in and the toes in and the heels in and the toes in and the heels in. So going out and in 2 more times, just going to wherever your wide point feels, that your feet feel that they're as wide as they need to be. Trying to pivot, so lifting the heels to turn them out, lifting the toes to turn them out, lifting the heels to turn them out, lifting the toes to turn them out. And noticing what happens in your legs as well and how comfortable that feels. Wonderful stuff. When you've done your 3 rounds, you can bring your buttocks back towards the back of the seat, allow the upper body to be supported, and again bring your feet up in front of you or out away from the floor to do a few ankle circles. Once we've done a few ankle circles, we're going to bend one leg and stretch the other. So it doesn't matter if the legs are not straight here when you extend the leg, but we want to have the sensation of aiming towards straight. And here we're trying to use the muscles of the upper leg. So if you've put your hands on your thighs, you'll notice them active as you stretch one heel away from you and then the other. If you do this with pointed toes or soft feet, it has a slightly different feel. That's okay. So explore how that feels. Maybe it feels differently in your calves. And then go back to extending through the heels. So you're really drawing the toes back towards the body. Feels quite strong in the front of the foot and the ankle. All good stuff. Smashing. When you're ready, you can bring yourself forward. We're going to do our sit to stand. So now we want to get a really good set of buttocks and probably upper thighs on our chair. So we've got lots of support when we sit back down again. And then we're going to take the feet underneath the knees, not too far forward, not too far back. Firm the belly muscles and then reach forward and just see if you can lift a little and release. So we're lifting a little and release, lift a little and release, lift a little and release. So we're going to use this motion, but every 3rd time we're going to try and float up for a moment. So if you haven't done this before, just watching. So we're going to lift, lift, and then lift and hold. Sit back down again, lift, lift, lift and hold. Okay, so we're going to try this as we go. If you want to, you can swing your arms for a bit of momentum, but not too vigorously. We don't want to topple over. We don't want to be nice and steady. So firm in the belly, looking forward to open the chest. We're going to lift, lift, lift and hold. Lovely job. Sit gently down. Lift, lift, lift and hold. Smashing stuff. Sit gently down. Let's do one more like that. Lift, lift, lift and hold. Smashing. Sit gently down again. So it doesn't matter how many times we need to get that momentum to lift and hold. If that's where you're starting, it's a really good way to gently, gradually build the strength to just come up. So if that is a variation that works for you, stick with it as we move into this next variation. So we're going to do the same sort of thing, except this time we're going to lift and hold, and then from here we're going to stand all the way up. Try to just ease the hips forward slightly so we undo some of the tension from the front of the pelvis, and then we're reaching the tailbone backwards as we reach the hands forwards and bend the knees, so we lightly kiss the buttocks back down to the chair. So we're going to do 5 of these. So if you want to do lift, lift, lift and hold instead, that's absolutely fine. Maybe stand up occasionally, okay? So when you're ready, reaching the hands forward, floating the buttocks up first, then standing all the way tall, opening the chest, and then reaching the buttocks backwards as the arms come forward, bending the knees and sitting lightly down. Same motion, coming forward to hover, then press through the legs to stand tall, and then coming back the way, hovering gently as we sit down, and then we're reaching forward to hover, standing tall, opening the front of the body, reaching the hands forward and the hips back to sit down. This time we're going to stand up and stay up. So reaching forward to hover, standing all the way tall, the arms just move around the body and down to the sides, and we find ourselves up on our feet, and then we can give ourselves a little bit of a wiggle from side to side. Smashing stuff. So we're going to take, I'm going to move my chair out of the way. If you would like to, you can simply move to the side of your seat, and I'm going to make sure that my block is somewhere handy for when I'm ready to use it. So if at any stage you would like to sit down during this practice, you absolutely can, or use the chair or a wall or a sofa for some support. We're going to start with the feet nice and wide apart, a little soft in the knees, that lift from the center of the foot all the way to the crown of the head, and then gently twisting from side to side. And hopefully this feels really lovely to release some of the effort across the legs and the hips. And also, because we did our twist earlier, it should hopefully feel really nice to twist more loosely with the body. So here we're trying to keep the feet steady, the shoulders and arms and fingers relaxed. And if you wish to, you can keep your hips still and move the upper body by really pressing into the feet, using the belly muscles, using the buttocks, using the legs. And you can allow the hands to tap the body wherever they fall, if that feels like a nice variation for you. More loose is also good. When you're ready, if you wish to, you can put a little pivot on your toes. So you don't have to, you can keep the feet steady, particularly if that helps you to feel more steady on your feet. If you don't mind a little bit of pivoting, you go for it. If you don't mind a bit of pivoting and your legs feel strong, you can add a soft bend in the knees. But bear in mind, we've done quite a lot with those leg muscles already, so it's okay if they feel too fatigued for that, just resting out of this one. If you can, touch your opposite shoulder in front of you and opposite hip behind. And remember, you can make your movement as slow as you need to coordinate all those things together. When you're ready, you can let the bounce go, simply pivot, or bring your feet to steadiness and sway back to center under your own steam. Coming to standing upright, standing steady, dropping the fingertips down, the shoulders down, finding that length in the back of the body. Let's take a cleansing breath. We'll breathe in, take the arms around the body and up, doesn't matter where up is, and breathe out, bring the palms together at the center of the chest, and we'll do one more of those. Breathing in, take the arms around the body and up. Breathing out, palms to the center of the chest. Very nice. Relax your arms down, just giving your shoulders a little bit of a wiggle, giving the hips a bit of a wiggle too. Smashing stuff. So today we can hold on to the chair at any stage. We are going to do a little bit of hip movement. We've done these before, and they work quite well if the feet are quite wide apart. So around about shoulder width apart, something like this. Too wide is probably not useful, but wide like this gives our hips room to move. And because we're moving the hips, sometimes it's helpful to have your hands on your hips, wherever that might be for you, so you can feel the movement, not just the movement underneath the hands, but also have more of a sense of where you are in space and time. Awesome. So we're going to begin with the legs quite long. They don't need to be locked straight, but quite long legs. And we're just allowing the hips to move around in a circle. Doesn't matter which direction you start in, and we're always going to go both ways. And if you want to, you can allow the rest of your body to move as you move. So it means that your torso might move sideways and forwards and backwards. A little bit of lift in the belly muscles helps here. And we're going to change direction whenever you're ready to go the opposite way as well. So we want to have that lift in the belly to provide centered stability and support. But we're just allowing the hips to explore their movement. Very good. And then we're going to come to center, relax the arms down for a minute, maybe roll the shoulders, wriggle anything that needs wriggling. And then we're going to bend the knees, place the hands back wherever they were. And this time we're going to make the hips move, but without the upper body moving. So this time we're trying to make that movement with more of our core muscles. So we want to explore lifting a little bit more in the belly muscles, the muscles that switch on around the legs, the hips, the buttocks, the back of the body, sides of the body. But the chest is very passive. The shoulders and arms are not at all involved. If you want to, you can place them elsewhere. If you prefer, keep them on the hips. Whenever you're ready, changing direction and noticing if it's more comfortable to go in one direction or the other. Trying to get that real sense of centered movement, strong in center. And it's a really lovely thing to do for your hip joints, really lubricates them, and it also allows us to build that core strength. When you're ready, you can come back to center, relax the arms, wiggle anything that needs wiggling, and move to get your block, or your cushion, or your ball, whatever it might be that you had before. So in our previous practice, we moved the arms up and down, and this time we're going to move them around the body, so in a circle around the body. So start with the block in your left hand, pass it around behind you into your right hand, and then in front of the body, exchange to your left hand again. So we're just going around the body. It doesn't matter how long it takes, so you can make it really slow. If you've discovered that you've got something that is too narrow for you to reach behind you, then you might like something bigger, like a cushion, because it's a little bit easier to get hold of. If you can, stand tall and try not to counterpose with your body as you do this. So instead of rocking through the upper body, try to lift in the belly. Think about lengthening the crown of the head and moving in the shoulders, the chest, the upper back, and the arms to make the movement rather than rocking your body around. Whenever you're ready, you can go in the opposite direction. And if you need to have a little rest, you absolutely can do that too. Maybe have a sensation of, as the arms go behind you, opening the chest, and then opening the upper back as the arms come in front of you. Lovely job. If you want to make it more challenging, you can do it close to the body and then try it much further away from the body. So the arms lifted a little bit higher. And it doesn't really matter. It's just a nice thing to explore. Let's do a couple more. And we're going to place these blocks down, or cushions, or balls, whatever you have, and just give yourself a little wriggle. Wriggle, wriggle, wriggle. Let's come back to our hips now. So again, with the feet around about shoulder width apart, we're going to move the left hip around the left ankle. So we're just making a circle with the left hip around the left ankle. That's where our emphasis is. And we can do this with the left knee nice and soft, but make sure it feels good to your knee. So if you need to keep your knee a little bit longer, that's okay. If you want to get a bit more movement to that knee, a little bit soft, and go in the opposite direction whenever you're ready. So just thinking about the left hip moving around the left ankle. It's the left foot that's got most of the, or perhaps a little bit more of the weight, not maybe most of the weight, but a little bit more of the weight. And we're just thinking about that hip moving there. When you're ready, come to center. We do the same thing to the other side. So thinking about the right hip moving around the right ankle. It's just a little bit more emphasis on that side of the body. It helps to have the belly muscles engaged. This is as engaged as mine will go. You can do it with the leg a little bit straighter or the knee a little bit more bent. Do what feels good to your hip. And when you're ready, you can go in the opposite direction. If you want to take a little bit longer doing that first direction, that's okay. Focus on the right hip moving around the right ankle instead of the left hip has to move, the hips are joined, but that's where the emphasis is. Very good. Let's do 2 more of these. Smashing. We're going to come back to standing and we're going to grab our blocks, cushions, balls again, whatever it might be. So we've done a combination of movements, and this time we're going to try to pass the block behind the chest. So we're going to take the block in the left hand up and then bend the left elbow and catch hold of the block or the cushion or the ball behind you with the right hand, she says, and then take it down in front of you, lift it up with the right hand and try to catch hold of it with the left hand behind you. And this takes a bit of coordination. So it's also, we're trying to sort of feel where that block is behind us. If this doesn't feel like something that's accessible to you today, it feels like it might not be accessible to me today, you can do another round of passing the block up and down around the body. So if that feels like the right thing to do for you today, you can. I'm really wishing I'd chosen a cushion instead of the block, which is much harder to get a hold of. And of course, we've all got one side of the body that works a little bit more readily than the other. So, for example, here it seems to, this is my stiff shoulder, but the underneath one works much better. And on this side, my stiff shoulder doesn't like being behind my body that way, so it doesn't feel very comfortable. However, I know that by doing it, it will get better. So just doing, maybe we could do 1 more to each side. And I was going to suggest we pass the block from the bottom hand into the top hand, but I think that might be a coordination too far for me. So we will probably leave that for today. Placing your block cushion ball down somewhere to one side. And then just giving your shoulders a little bit of a roll. I hope that was as amusing at your end as it was at this end. We're going to come back to our hips now for our last standing hip thing before we choose another shape. And so we're softening both knees. We're trying to maintain that centered strength and lift. And we're going to move the left hip around the left ankle and the right hip around the right ankle. So a figure of 8s with our hips, moving the hips one around one ankle and then the other around its ankle. So it doesn't matter which direction you've started in. If you'd like to, you can allow your movement in the hips to affect the upper body to begin with, but I'd like you to work towards making the upper body quite passive and allowing the hips to move on their own. So there's a little bit of movement through the shoulders, but not very much. It's more through the bottom of the ribs, maybe the middle of the ribs, so that if you held your arms out to the side, it would look like the upper part of the torso was nice and still, whilst the rest of it was working. And you need to work through the ankles, the legs, the buttocks, the core muscles when you're already going in the opposite direction. And this for me is a real feat of coordination, to turn in the opposite direction with these figure of eight. So if for any reason that changing direction doesn't work for you, then please just keep going in the same direction you started in. You can have a go, but doing something is better than doing nothing. And so if figure of eights don't suit you, some simple hip circles will do here as well. And thinking about keeping those belly muscles engaged and really snake hips. That's what we're after, snake hip. When you're ready, coming back to the center, floating your arms down if they've been out to the side, giving yourself a little wiggle. And we're going to do our chair down dog just to finish our standing up practice. So coming to your chair, you could equally use a wall or the back of a sofa or a kitchen counter, table. Rest your hands on whatever support you're using and press into the hands gently. Then walk your feet away from you and take your feet a little bit wide. Really lengthen your tailbone behind you. So we want to end up with the buttocks behind where the feet and the knees are. And with the knees nice and soft, just wiggling the hips from side to side. So we're keeping that sensation of movement through the hips, but now the emphasis is in a different part of the back. Pressing into the hands, keeping the torso lifted away from the floor, a lift in the belly muscles. Whenever you're ready, you can come to some stillness, maybe even in that stillness with the hips, turn the head from side to side. Take a couple of deeper breaths. And in your own time, coming up to standing. So if you want to hold for a little bit longer, you can. If you're ready, you can walk towards your chair. Just coming up to standing, holding onto your chair for as long as you need to feel the blood all get back to the right places, feel nice and strong and stable as well. And then we're going to move into relaxation. So just taking your time to find anything that you need for relaxation. I'm going to take the block underneath my feet and just grab a little bit of water and my blanket. Smashing stuff. This is my fourth class, or fourth recorded session, I should say, of the day. So sometimes by this stage, my voice is a little bit tired. There we go. So as you come to sitting on your seat, allow your body to sit back into the chair so that you are supported by the chair back itself. And if you ever want to, you can be against a wall and just rest your head back as well. Or for those of you who've got a squashy red ball, you can rest the red ball on the wall and rest your head against it as well. As long as it's not pushing your head forward, you've got time to room to relax back. And as always, particularly if you're doing this on a recording, you can pause the video whilst you get yourself reclined on a sofa or a comfier seat or in bed for the ideal relaxation. And if you fall asleep at the end of it, it doesn't matter. So we are going to settle ourselves back into the chair. Rest your hands wherever they're comfortable. This is the time to close your eyes. Excuse me. Become aware of the effects of your practice so far. I'm sure that parts of the body feel warm, energized, utilized. See if you can begin to soften that effort. And here, if you'd like to do any gentle neck movements, and just releasing any tension from the head and the neck and the shoulders, by doing movements of the head that make sense to you in this moment. When you're ready, you can bring your head back to center. Make any final fidgets and adjustments. And then bring your body to stillness and softness. Take a deep breath in and sigh gently as you exhale. Repeating 3 more times. A deep breath in. Let all of the effort of practice go. Deep breath in. Let your muscles begin to relax. One more deep breath in. Surrender your weight back and down. Allow your breath to fall into its natural rhythm and fall away into quietness. Take your awareness into your forehead and feel it soften. Feel the area around your eyes releasing. Your mouth, tongue, and jaw relaxing. Allow the whole body to feel heavy, warm, supported, and releasing down. Move your awareness to your breath, gently deepening your breath, breathing in energy, vitality, tranquility. Breathing out tension, fatigue, and discomfort. Breathing in energy, vitality, tranquility. Breathing out tension, fatigue, and discomfort. Allow your breath to fall in this rhythm whenever you're aware of it during relaxation. Allow yourself, your body, and your mind to soften a little deeper with every exhalation. Om. Gently begin to deepen your breath. Bring your awareness back into your hands and your feet by moving your fingers, your toes, maybe rolling the wrists and the ankles. And don't be alarmed if they crack and pop and click. When you feel ready, you can take a deeper breath in still and stretch the arms and the legs, maybe. Stretch the face and yawn. We stretch one side of the body and then the other. Oh, just doing anything that feels good in this moment. Finish by gathering yourself back to center, resting your hands across your chest or placing the palms together at the center of the chest. Maybe bow your chin towards your chest. Give yourself a gentle smile. And remember that we have really lubricated the hips and the shoulders today. Hopefully you will feel the benefits of this extra motion lotion in the rest of your week. I hope that it is a good week for you. When you're ready, raising your head and opening your eyes. Thank you so much for coming to this practice today, and I will see you again soon. Namaste.